How would you escape from your workplace in an emergency? Do you know where all of the exits are? Are you sure the doors will be unlocked and that exit access will not be blocked during a fire, explosion, or other crisis? Knowing the answers to these questions could keep you safe during an emergency. An emergency action plan is a plan required by OSHA that describes the actions employees should take to ensure their safety if a fire or other emergency occurs. Well-developed emergency plans and proper employee training can help save lives and reduce property damage. As an employee, it is part of your job to understand your roles and responsibilities as defined in the emergency action plan. First of all, the Emergency Action Plan describes procedures for reporting a fire or other emergency. Common methods include dialing 911 or an internal emergency number or pulling a manual fire alarm. Whatever system your company uses, make sure you know how to report an emergency, any emergency. If your company relies on outside assistance such as fire, medical, or rescue services, know how to contact these authorities if necessary. Also, make sure you're familiar with the alarm system used by your company to notify employees to evacuate and/or take other actions. It is recommended that alarms used for different actions be distinctive and include horn blasts, sirens, or even public address systems. The second element of an emergency action plan is a description of procedures for emergency evacuation. The evacuation policy includes information on the type of evacuation as well as exit route assignments. Many employers create maps from floor diagrams to designate escape routes to be followed by employees. Evacuation policies often describe actions employees should take before and while evacuating, such as shutting windows, turning off equipment, and closing doors behind them. Also, depending on the type of emergency, your plan may designate assembly areas or areas where employees will gather following an evacuation, both inside and outside your workplace. Assembly locations within the building are often referred to as areas of refuge. Make sure you understand your role and responsibilities in an emergency evacuation. Know where all exits are located and which exit accesses, such as hallways, will be open during a fire, explosion, or other emergency. Also, make sure you know where to report following an evacuation. This knowledge could be critical to your safety. The third element of an emergency action plan describes procedures for employees who remain on site after the alarm sounds, if necessary, before evacuating. Employees may be required to operate fire extinguishers or shut down gas and/or electrical systems and other special equipment that could be damaged if left operating, or create additional hazards to emergency responders, such as releasing hazardous materials. If any employees will stay behind, the emergency action plan must describe in detail the procedures to be followed. All employees remaining behind must be capable of recognizing when to abandon the operation or task and evacuate before their egress path is blocked. The fourth element of an emergency action plan describes procedures to account for all employees after the evacuation to ensure that everyone escaped. This might include procedures for designated employees to sweep areas, checking offices and restrooms. The plan may also include procedures for conducting a roll call in an assembly area. Many employers designate an evacuation warden to assist others in an evacuation and to account for personnel. The fifth element of the emergency action plan describes procedures to be followed by employees performing rescue or medical duties. Most small organizations rely on local public resources such as the local fire department or hospital to provide these services. Larger companies may have their own emergency and rescue services. These individuals must be trained and equipped to perform their duties. Untrained individuals may injure themselves while trying to rescue. For this reason, it's safest to leave the rescue work to those who are trained, equipped, and certified to do so. In addition to the key elements just discussed, emergency action plans include the names, titles, departments, and phone numbers of employees who can be contacted for additional information or clarification of some aspect of the plan. Also, emergency action plans include a description of how employees will be informed of the contents of the plan and trained in their roles and responsibilities. Before implementing an emergency action plan, employers must designate and train enough people to assist in the safe and orderly emergency evacuation of employees. Training should be offered when the plan is developed or the employee is assigned initially to a job, when the employee's responsibilities under the plan change, and when the plan is changed. Emergencies and disasters can strike anyone, anytime, anywhere. You and your coworkers could be forced to evacuate your workplace when you least expect it. Remember, preparedness is essential to safety. Know how to escape from your workplace before an emergency occurs. This knowledge could save your life. This is James Drury, reminding you to take care and be safe.